What
Hey,
up, sir?
hey. Morning. Great to see you guys.
It is morning. We're both getting appropriately caffeinated, and what better way to get us even more energized than for you to help us understand the opportunity that I guess privacy unlocks for the new wave of fintech companies. I think you recently raised $10 million with A16Z leading to build a privacy-enabled blockchain. Really curious to sort
Yep.
of understand through your eyes, where's the gap in the market here, and what opportunities is Seismic unlocking for builders?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Happy to give a little context on Seismic too. You pretty much gave the good intro on it. So Seismic, at the end of the day, is a blockchain with privacy. So we work with fintechs like Brookwell, a neobank, and Cred, a credit service, to launch crypto products that don't expose user finances. So, and to your question on what gap are we seeing? The backdrop is fairly straightforward, actually. It's pretty much just three steps. Step number one: fintech interest in crypto is rising. Like they want to go into crypto for various reasons. Could be setting up a new market, sending international transfers, holding deposits, so on and so forth. So that's number one. Fintech interest in crypto is rising. Number two, a certain subset of these fintechs are providing financial services that are core to people's financial lives. Think a neobank. And then number three, for this subset of fintechs that do provide core financial services, they care a good bit about privacy. And then that's where we come in, because we're a blockchain with privacy.
Can you
How's
share?
that?
Can you share? That's great. Can you share where the insight for this came from? Like, what, were you doing something before that kind of shined the light on this opportunity, or how did you arrive at this realization that this is
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
the
So
big block?
we started off about 2 years ago, actually, in on-chain games, where we noticed that for all of the games that were our friends and then people that we've known for a while, a lot of them was working on protocols where the game state was on chain. And the interesting thing about having game state on chain is that you can't have these things that games need, like bushes. Like you can't crawl into a bush as a character. And so we started to build infrastructure for that, because we noticed that it was a pretty hard problem and we were uniquely positioned to solve it. And then did that for a bit, went live with a couple of customers. At some point, on-chain gaming died down a bit, and then we sat back and said, okay, we built something. We don't really know if it's useful. Let's shop around just to see if other people end up caring more about it. And we started talking to folks. And the interesting thing that we realized is that when we talked to people that were in DeFi, they mostly didn't care about it at all. Like, they just told us to kick rocks. Like, we'll integrate with you in 2 years. But when we talked to people that came from the traditional financial world, like Silicon Valley fintechs, for example, then we started getting a lot of nods when we started talking to people. Like, yeah, we were actually trying to get the benefits of crypto for a while, but we have these expectations that we need to uphold for our users, and those expectations align with privacy, and they can transact with their bank account, and it won't be Googleable. And that's really where we had the good moment for us, where we said, there's really something here. We can build a big, valuable business if we solve this problem and solve it well in an end-to-end way. And then we went full steam ahead with that. And then now, fast forward a little bit, we're working with a couple fintechs that we are very fortunate to be working with, and we're excited to be doing the work that we are.
Okay, I got competing thoughts here. I guess the one that I'm intrigued by the most is, to me, that the product that most fintechs seem to be excited about isn't necessarily blockchain; it's stablecoins, which is maybe an important distinction. Mm-hmm. And we're actually kicking off the top here talking about Circle and their sort of focus on building their own blockchain for stablecoins. Obviously, seeing many in that sort of competitive set out there as well. And I think privacy is a big component of at least the benefits they're pushing out there. So, is there something about sort of like the approach you're taking, or the programmable nature of this blockchain versus others, that makes it focusing on sort of a privacy chain for fintechs the right positioning to go after, versus the maybe stablecoin backend that these fintechs will ultimately use?
May I ask, so you're going at why we're going after fintechs and not stablecoins as much, or generally just
I just wonder if you
seeing on what?
I sort of see those two as directly competitive, and I'm wondering about sort of the different way that you see the world that's led you to go build the product in the way that you're building it. Like, is there a whole new type of customer
Oh,
that's going to be
may
unlocked
I ask
here?
what is it?
Like
Yeah, yeah.
how does it
So,
how does it compare
yeah.
to Arc and Tempo, for example, and like what's it like strategically? Is there a
Oh,
different
yeah.
approach you're taking than those?
Thank you, Josh.
Absolutely. Strategically, the main difference in our approach is we're 100% focused on privacy today, and this means two things. Number one, implementing privacy and doing it in an end-to-end way such that it's actually usable by fintechs takes a lot of effort. Like it's not like Solana and Ethereum have had privacy protocols for the longest time, but they're not the most usable for fintechs because doing it end to end, and I can talk more about that later, it is a lot. So for Arc and Tempo, I can't speak too much about their roadmaps, but I would assume that when they go live, they might not have the functions for privacy that we have. But eventually, though, the three products, Arc, Tempo, Seismic, we're all building towards the same thing.
Okay.
And eventually getting to the same customer segment of fintechs. So that's the first thing about, technically, we're going after privacy. What this means for us on the go-to-market front is that our customer segments that we're targeting to start are very different than the ones that Arc and Tempo are going after. So in particular, if we're looking at fintech, there are all these types of fintechs. We're focusing on the very narrow fintechs that end up caring a lot about privacy. And these are usually the fintechs that are closer to having a primary financial relationship with people. So for example, neobanks. Everyone's talking about neobanks these days. And neobanks as a segment, embedded financing providers as a segment, lending services as a segment. Like these are ones that we're hyper focused on. And Arc, Tempo, can't speak too much about them, but they might be focusing on other points just because they aren't stressing privacy as much.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, help me understand the approach, because this is it's funny. Like obviously, privacy is having a moment right now, and yet it is also kind of crazy that it hasn't been having as much of a moment for the last forever, frankly, given how I think important and how much of an unlock it can be. So what is the sort of approach that you guys are taking to embed this from day one?
So thanks for asking this. So for privacy, it's the best way to understand this is look at the context of what privacy it already exists on blockchain. So a couple of things have been tried. Usually if you're a fintech and you're going to a blockchain, by default, it's going to be public. So you're thinking, okay, what can we do here? Level one, you might try obfuscating transactions by having a bunch of decoy wallets and then sending to a bunch of these decoy wallets. We've known for many years that this doesn't really work because any analytics firm worth their salt is going to see through everything. So you say, okay, that's not going to work. Then you go into maybe do some basic cryptography. You do the ERC20 token standard plus ZK. But then you end up figuring out that, oh, there are some things that we can't do with this basic setup. Like we can't do swaps, for example. We can't do loans, for example. So then you get more advanced cryptography. You have a bigger, better cryptography setup. You invest a lot in R&D to get it, and then you think you're off to the races. And then just as you have the system ready, then you run into all of these real world issues like, how am I going to integrate all of these vendors that I need to get the system to actually run? How am I going to get the on and off ramps to integrate my custom system? How am I going to get blockchain intelligence and compliance providers to be able to understand what's going on here to report to an adequate degree? Then, okay, so you go one by one manual through the entire process, and then maybe you get to a point where, okay, we have all the vendors lined up, we have this cool system, we're here. At the end of all that, you're still not done, and this is the final step, because then you need to bootstrap liquidity on, say, you need to have a private exchange. You need to have a private lending service if you actually want the end-to-end functions that you're doing to be private. And so I say this route, that this progression that needs to be taken for every fintech to get privacy in their crypto workflows, to say that it's a lot, and for most teams, it is not good to expect that a lot of teams are going to be able to do this, because it's layers on layers, and it's not just like tech plus ZK to get it done.
So now I understand why you looked at me like crazy when I compared it to stablecoins, because clearly there's a lot more in the detail of the application of this that maybe not obvious to me to begin with. Okay, so that's like no small undertaking then? There's sort of this cold start problem actually lives at a bunch of layers for you. So I'm curious about the go-to-market approach here. How do you actually build in advance of ultimately having network effects at all those important levels you just talked about?
Yeah, the cold start problem is pretty horrendous for us, to be honest. Like
tokens. Doozy.
Yeah.
Watch a token.
Yeah. Tokens get us a lot of the way there. I'm going to be honest. So it helps. It definitely helps. I want to say one thing you said was very powerful. Yeah, it ends up being a much harder problem than even we originally thought, because it helps because a lot of people say, like, we've had privacy on Ethereum and Solana for a long time, and then just by virtue of like it not actually being adopted, like there's something there, like there must be a reason why it isn't. And when we dug into it, we saw this monster stack that we had to build out. We said, okay, this might be why there's a confidential token extension on Solana, but it's not like Solana solved privacy yet. Awesome chain, but like they definitely just have not yet. And so the cold start problem, that the way that we're tackling this is for our go to market, we have two main branches of customers. We have a set of customers that are built directly for Seismic, and these are the folks that we work with every day. They're the folks that I speak to, and I do sales calls for them, and they provide a lot of value to us, and we have to be very intentional about providing value to them because they run into all of the issues that we're hitting. Like, for example, if we go to an on and off ramp, we say, hey, we want you to integrate this standard that we have and this new tech that we have. Their first question is always, do you have customers that will bring us volume day one? And then now we have this set of really close partners that are built directly for Seismic that we work really hard for, that is willing to go out there and make the case for us. So early apps making the case for us is like 90% of the cold start problem. As long as someone's willing to use you, willing to talk. And to get this, it really takes a lot of. There's no other way to get it other than just we have to put in a lot of elbow grease for these apps because they're providing so much value to us for bootstrapping. And then eventually, that's the first set of customers that we've been working with for many months now. Right now, we're just starting to expand to a second set of customers that are already up and running. They're fintechs that have existed for a while. They just want another product and they want to spin it up very quickly. Now, on and off ramp integrations already. We have blockchain intelligence. We have liquidity in all of these specific pools that they might need. Now they're still going to need some work. They're still early use. They should get, and as you said, like token incentives for this, but it's much less painful. And so it's this whole process of a couple early customers that really put a lot into your company, and then customers that put a little bit less over time. And then hopefully we open the funnel to people that really don't care about us and just want the value that we can provide.
I'm interested in the first few kind of fintechs you're partnering with, what the core reason they want to start building on chain is. Is it just kind of streamlining back-end operations, lowering costs, or is it more about kind of new product offerings for their customers?
We're seeing 5 main reasons that go along the axis that you've said. So everything on point just actually does boil down to the lower costs, higher rewards, better coverage. You pretty much covered everything. To get a more granular view of it, the 5 main reasons that we're seeing, reason number A is that setting up in new markets is just very hard as a fintech. You need to go to a region, whether it's your first market or your 5th market. You need to go to the region, develop relationships with local banks, deploy an ops team that can work directly in that region, get the appropriate licensing, get it up, and then maybe many, many months and many millions of dollars later, then you're set up in that region. For stablecoins, you could do that with probably 10K and a couple hours of time. It's way easier with stablecoins. So setting up new markets, even if it's your first market, is the biggest one. Then we're seeing the typical that everyone's been talking about for a while. Like setting up international transfers or making that really cheap is another big one. So some corridor stablecoins are much cheaper than traditional offerings. Another big one that we're seeing is holding deposits. So a lot of fintechs, there's a soft hypothesis that we're developing internally where we think a lot of fintechs that generally execute transactions for for users are going to end up being neobanks, just because the deposit model is the economics of having deposits is so strong. So
What is the
incentives of
distinction
having a wallet-
between fintech and neobank? I'm curious about how you see those as different.
Oh yeah, fintech, I've used a broad category. Neobank is one very specific sliver in it. So, for example, I would include Kickstarter or
Okay, so
Kalshi as a fintech.
deposits, transactions, there's sort of like a subset of functions, but not the totality of sort of banking functions.
It is actually exactly banking functions, but a lot of fintechs just don't care about banking functions. Like Kalshi doesn't care about getting your direct deposit.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And so turning most fintechs into something that does hold deposits is super strong. Like if you're a protocol and if you're a fintech that can just attract, say, $100 million of deposits, that's a huge revenue stream for you already. So most fintechs just naturally are very incentivized to become.
Give me that yield, baby. Give me that yield.
Give me that yield. Here we go. So holding deposits, another one. Then accepting crypto payments as itself, in itself, is another big draw that we're seeing. And then the last one is bootstrapping liquidity. It's what we've seen for a while. Capital formation just so strong on chain. So these are really these are our big five that we always see people. And people might want crypto for some different subset, but it's always like some subset of these five.
That's interesting. I'm curious how you're thinking about your business model. It seems like you're doing a lot of like the heavy lifting and the integration. Yeah, my assumption is, as launching as a sort of a chain, that you're hoping there's an ecosystem that emerges here. I'm curious how you look at where revenue is generated and how value flows through back to, I guess, the ownership group of Seismic.
Yeah, absolutely. Two ways. Number one, we charge 1 cent per transaction. Just very simple. We're not ultra fast chain going to charge $0. 1 cent. Everybody's fine with it. Everyone's paying like way more for other things. They're fine. Another thing is we have some setup that we're in early phases working with for the fintechs that we work with on getting a cut of deposit spread. So something percentage based on TVL and then per transaction.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I'm curious, maybe just before we let you go, because this has been interesting. Again, another sort of world that I lack maybe some nuance in, and I mean, privacy is very clearly one of those things. But I'm curious, if you sort of look at what like the 1000x unlock that privacy might bring to crypto as a whole, what is that? What changes with this technology?
The number one thing that privacy can do for crypto is get fintechs that are holding primary financial relationships with their users on chain. Like really, everything that we've been doing with crypto at this point, let's say high volatility trading, cross-border transfers, they're things that are more, if you're looking at a user's wallet, like they're pretty far out. Like we're talking people running their entire lives on a blockchain. That's really the next big step that privacy can bring. The closer you are to there, the more they care about privacy. Like notice like Hyperliquid, like if we try to get DEXs, they don't care about us at all. They want us to kick rocks. They're like we actually, it's a feature to be public because we can show off P&L. But the closer we are to saying like we are hosting someone's salary and then we're paying for their rent and we're paying for their day-to-day expenses, that's when they're saying, oh my God, like this must be private. And that is a big step change that could happen with crypto.
Love it, man. All right. I mean, there's more for us to get into here, and it's, but I find it very intriguing. So anything on the immediate roadmap that people can pay attention to if they want to follow along in your progress?
Oh, 100%. So the biggest thing is we're announcing several fintech customers over the next few. Like it would be very cool for folks to just see the really good fundamental use cases that are coming out of stablecoins plus privacy, because really they're kind of boring, but the pure breadth of it on just how big the industry is that we can go into, I think could get a lot of people really excited. Especially
this is Josh and I's entire sort of hero arc with stablecoins and etc. I think we're just like, oh, this seems profoundly uninteresting, and then all of a sudden you realize the impact of it. So awesome, man. Well, appreciate you jumping on with us today. Congrats on the progress on the raise. Sounds like you have some fun stuff to announce soon. So go give us, what do we got? We don't even have your X account up here. We'll make sure that it comes out, and a lot of the clips will so people can give Seismic a follow. It's also seismic.systems if you want to go check in and maybe explore building on their ecosystem. Appreciate you hanging out, man. Best of luck as you try to go make privacy. I guess bury it in the background of most people's user experiences so they don't even know they need it.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you too so much for having me.
Cheers,
Long time fan, so nice to
Peace,
be
man.
here. See you,
Awesome.
folks.
Nope.